Good morning, students. How are you? Hope you all are fit and fine. And today in SST we will start the new chapter, chapter number 19, Discovery of Fire. So it was the incident discovery of fire was related to the lives of the early humans. Discovery of fire, it brings many changes in the lives of early humans. Before discovery of fire, they were living a life that was full of scared from the wild animals or from the darkness. But after the discovery of light or the discovery of fire, it became easy for them to protect themselves from the wild animals, to cook food, and they also got a light in the darkness. So the discovery of fire was one of the most important incident in the lives of the early humans. After the discovery of fire, it becomes easy for them to cook food, to stay themselves warm in the winter seasons, and to protect themselves against the wild animals. Now the discovery of fire, that how this incident happened. So the discovery of fire, we know that the early human beings lived in jungles, lived in forest, and in the forest there were so many wild animals around them. They have to protect themselves against the wild animals, so it was difficult for them to protect themselves against the wild animals, because at that time there were no tools. They did not have any shelter to protect themselves. So in this way the life of the early humans was in dangerous. So when they lived in jungles, every time they saw the lightning in the sky, flame, wildfire, and they got very scared of that and ran away from that. They did not know that from where this light was coming, what was happening around them. But after that, soon they came to know that this light helps them in darkness. Now, with the help of the light, they easily move in the forest. They easily move from one place to another place in the forest. So, it created light in the darkness. It becomes easy for them to show that what is happening around them even in the darkness. So they protect themselves from the wild animals. When they saw that a burning twig dropped on a pile of leaves, it caught fire, and they realized that fire not only gave them light but also warmth. So it was very easy for them to keep themselves warm in the winter season. And soon they also realized that wild animals also afraid from the fire. So now it becomes easy for them to protect themselves against the wild animals. After that, how they discovered the fire. So when they made stone tools, it was the time of Stone Age when the early humans were making stone tools. So they saw that by rubbing the two stones, it created a spark, and they learned that how they can create fire. So in this way they started creating fire by rubbing two stones, and now it was become very easy for them to create fire whenever they need. After that they came to know that the raw food, the raw animals that they ate, they become much tasty after cooking in the fire. So now they started cooking their food on fire, and they realized that cooked food becomes much tasty than the raw food, and after cooking it becomes soft and easy to eat. So in this way, early humans discovered fire. Now they started cooking food on fire. They started protecting themselves with fire against the wild animals, and now they got light in the darkness. So these were the incidents which helped them to live life in an easy way. So in this way, discovery of fire, it created many changes. It brings many changes in the lives of the early humans. So this is the chapter about the discovery of fire. That is a very short chapter, that in the starting time or in the earlier period of the early humans, they were afraid of the lightning, flame and wildfire. But after that, they realized and they saw that how fire was becoming helpful for them. That the wild animals afraid from the fire, fire gives them lightning in the darkness, they can cook their food on the fire, it gives them warmth. So all these incidents they saw in the jungle, in the forest, and then they came to know that this thing is very helpful for them and brings many changes in their lives. So after that, they started creating fire by rubbing the two stones. So whenever they need the fire, while cooking the food or to keep themselves warm, they rub the two stones and create spark, and then it was easy for them to create fire around them. So this is the chapter. Now we will discuss the question answers of this chapter. So let's write the first question. So let's write the first question, and the first question is, how did early humans see fire in the jungle? How did early humans see fire in the jungle? So we know that the early humans saw bright light in the sky during the storms, flames, the flame that was created by the lightning. When some lightning falls on the trees and the trees is struck on the ground, so they caught fire, and a flame was there from that trees or from that dry leaves, and it caught the forest, and in this way there was the forest fire, wildfire. So these fire were seen by the early humans. How did early humans see fire in the jungle? So the answer is, they saw bright light. They saw a bright light. Bright light during storms, flame or wildfire. In the jungle. So these were the fire or lights that they seen in the jungle. Bright light during storms, flame or wildfire they saw in the jungle. After that, the question number 2 is, write any two uses. Write any two uses of fire for early human beings. For early human beings. So the some of the uses of fire for the early human beings, that they started cooking food on fire. It helps them to keep themselves warm in the winter season. It protects them against the wild animals. It gave them light in the darkness. So there were so many uses of the fire. After creating the fire, it becomes very helpful for the early humans in many ways. But we will write only the 2 points. So write any 2 uses of fire for early human beings. The 2 uses of fire are, the 2 uses of fire, the 2 uses of fire for early humans, for early humans. So the first is, so let's write from the book. They started cooking food. They started cooking food. They started cooking food on fire. On fire. They started cooking food on fire. Second, it helped them. It helped them. It helped them. It protected them against the. It helped them to keep themselves warm or to protect against wild animals. It protects them. It protected it protected them from wild animals. Wild animals. So these were the 2 uses, that they started cooking food on fire. It protected them from wild animals. And third question is, how did early humans learn to make fire? Learn to make fire. How did early humans learn to make fire? So by rubbing 2 stones. By rubbing 2 stones, they came to know that how to create fire. How did early humans learn to make fire? By rubbing 2 stones. By rubbing two stones, they learned to make fire. To make fire. So by rubbing two stones, they learned to make fire. They rubbed the two stones and it created a spark, and then they came to know that how they could create fire. So these were the three question answers of the chapter Discovery of Fire. So the first question, how did early humans see fire in the jungle? How they see fire in the forest? So the early human beings, they lived in forest, they lived in jungles, and many times it happened that they saw the bright lights in the sky during the storms, during the heavy storms with rainfall. There was lightning in the sky, flames and wildfires in the forest, and they got very scared of that and they ran away from that. They ran far away from the fire. So they saw a bright light during storms, flame or wildfire in the jungle. Write any two uses of fire for early human beings. So the two uses of fire for early humans, they started cooking food on fire. Before the discovery of fire, they ate raw food. But after the discovery of fire, they realized that the cooked food becomes much tasty and easy to eat. They protected them from, it protected them from wild animals. Before the discovery of fire, early human beings were very scared of wild animals because they did not have any source to protect themselves. They did not have shelter, they did not have any tools. But after the discovery of fire, it becomes easy for them to protect themselves from the wild animals. And the third question, how did early humans learn to make fire? So how did early human beings learn to make fire? By rubbing two stones, they learned to make fire. They saw that while making the stone tools, it was the period of Stone Age when they were making stone tools, and at that time they saw that by rubbing two stones at that time, it created a spark, and that spark created fire. So in this way they came to know that by rubbing two stones they can create fire. So this is the chapter about the early humans, that how they discovered fire. Discovery of fire brings many changes in the lives of early humans. Now their life becomes easier and safer. Easier that there were so many things that they can do with the help of fire, and safer, now they keep themselves safe from the wild animals or keep themselves warm from the winter season, or keep themselves warm in the winter season. So this is the chapter about discovery of fire, and these are the three question answers of this chapter, Discovery of Fire.